Hickok 45 here, wondering if 6 is enough to provide security. How about a security 6? Let's shoot something with it. Oh yeah. That was 6. 6 empties. All right, Ruger Security 6. That's the topic for the day. And first I have to apologize for my sins of omission over the years, neglecting the classic Ruger Security 6. Okay? Not only have I neglected it in videos, I neglected it back in the 70s, in the 80s, and the 90s, and I just really feel bad about that. So I'm going to try to atone for my sins today, okay? This is the Ruger Security 6, and this one's actually mine, okay? So I'm really in the business of looking for redemption. It's pretty seriously. And so now let's talk about the Security 6. These revolvers were, and you know, I like revolvers, I like everything. Before I even talk about this, let me remind everybody that is younger than me, which is all of you, right? It's hard to imagine. We need to take a trip back into time, the 1970s, the 1980s, when firearms like this ruled. They really did. Today we talk about you're staying around gun shows or gun shops or online discussing which is the best polymer pistol, you know, and all the micro 9 and micro compacts and the big topics of the day, even though people still love revolvers. Back in the 70s and 80s, other than a few semi-autos that were around, of course the 1911, a couple of Smiths, and there were not a lot of them. The discussions were about these things, okay? 6-shot revolvers for the most part, 5-shot revolvers. That was almost everybody's orientation, except Jeff Cooper. No, there were aficionados of the 1911s, of course, and some other semi-autos that had been around. High power was around, some others. It's just that revolvers ruled. Almost every police holster had a revolver in it, almost, okay, virtually every, and it was a Colt or Smith & Wesson for the most part, you know, in the 70s, okay, so the 50s, the 60s, the 40s, the 30s, right on up. Well, Bill Ruger started making firearms in when that first semi-automatic 22 come out, like 48 or 49 or something. But in the 50s, he was making the Blackhawks, you know, the Ruger Blackhawks and Super Blackhawks later and all that. And then decided to enter this market. And this Ruger Security 6 is his first double action revolver. And so it's kind of a classic. It was pretty popular, pretty darn popular. You know, from the get-go. It was very well received. It was less expensive, I think about 25% less than maybe a Colt or a Smith & Wesson. And that was a big hook, you know, big attraction, you know, as you can imagine, because it seemed to be well made. And it was, in some ways, you might say, better made. Had a one-piece frame, didn't have a side plate, so it was maybe stronger than K-frame, you know, because that's kind of the category it's in, kind of a K-frame size revolver. And had a safe transfer bar safety, had some innovations, and I might even take it apart here if I can do it without, you know, spending 3 hours doing it, and to show you that. So he wanted some of that market, you know, the police contracts, even military contracts, and civilian, you know, sales, and got a pretty significant amount of it with this. Not from me. Again, I apologize. I was too caught up in classic Smith & Wesson revolvers and Colts and things. I just really was. And, you know, 1972 was right when I was getting into it, okay, and actually purchasing my own firearms. And I'm sorry, Bill, he was kind of lost on me to some extent. And and as I revisit these and look at them, you know, I've had the GP100 for a long time, Red Hawks and various firearms. I've always liked Ruger. I just haven't loved Ruger like a lot of people do. And in revisiting and researching and taking these things apart, I've really developed a new appreciation for them, the simplicity of them. The same thing that attracted me to the Glock back in the day, in the 80s. And so I have developed a new appreciation, I'll have to say. Let me shoot this thing again. Let's shoot some Magnums in it, okay? 357 Magnum. And of course, you can fire 38 Special if you have a 357 Magnum, right? Now, some of these were actually chambered in 38 Special too. And they're 357 Magnum, or some 9mm, and 38 Smith & Wesson even, okay? And it came in about 3 or 4 different barrel lengths, 2 3/4, 4-inch, and 6-inch. I believe were the barrel lengths predominantly. Then there was the Speed 6, we'll talk about that. I don't think it came as 6-inch barrel. So the Ruger Security 6, they refer to these as the 6s. There were 3 of them pretty much. And you know, since I have Magnums in here, let's see what we can do to old Mr. Watermelon. Flew the post over. Let's smoke a little pot with these Magnums. That smoked it pretty well. Let's put the rest of them on this paper. See if they'll go through that cardboard and paper. Yeah, do I have one left? Yeah, do I have one left? No. Yeah, that's fairly Magnum. Okay, and you'll probably hear some other Magnums in the distance. It's I think it's close to the 4th of July. Yeah, it might be. So we have some fireworks going on, and of course we have gunfire in the neighborhood besides mine. So it's the sound of freedom either way, right? 357 Magnum. Okay, as you know, I love the 357. What did I tell you? The 357 Magnum is a very popular cartridge, isn't it? And pretty cool. So this was available in the Security 6, says right on the side, right? Pretty cool. And like I said, I actually bought this one just this week, Franklin Gun Shop, and you don't find them very often. They're collectible now. They really are. And so I bought that one. I just decided I wanted one after shooting one of these and studying up on them. And again, it's part of the redemption. I've been really bad, very negligent over the decades, and I just really needed to atone. And I bought it. I did. I really wanted a stainless one, though, and like this one, our viewer lent this to us, and this one is nice, isn't it? It's got those are Ruger grips, but they put this grip on some of them. And that's a beautiful gun. I like the stainless better. I really do. And we appreciate his lending that to us. He offered it like 6 months ago or something. So even though I had this one and another one, I thought, let's just have the more the merrier. 2 or 3 in the video show the difference. These are the same gun except for the grips and the material, the finish. Stainless steel and blue, right? And so I decided after I bought this, I like it. But I really wanted stainless, so I'm going to donate this one to the Tennessee Firearms Association auction. It'll be taking place in September, okay? I try to do that every year with some firearm. So I'm going to let this one go, even though I like it, and I'm still going to continue my search for a stainless one. I want a Security 6. Actually, the one I prefer, and we'll do a video on this one over here, got from Budge, it's a Police Service 6. Same gun. It just has the fixed sights. It does not have adjustable sights. That's the one I really want for my one version of the Security 6. One like now. This will go back, and we'll do a separate video on that. But that's what I've decided I want after my study and shooting different ones of them. And so I'm going to donate this one, and then I will find me one. Okay, probably 357 Magnum, even though they're available in different chamberings. Okay, so. Before I shoot it again, let me give you an idea if you have interest in it. And some of you have experience with them. I guarantee you a lot of experience. The Security 6 is this format, okay? It's got adjustable sights. They look like this gun. They look like this gun. You know why? Because it says Security 6 on the side. Yeah, that's why they look like this gun, the Security 6, just in a different finish. And of course, you could have different barrel lengths, and you could have a different grip. But they're the same gun, of course. Now, this one is called the Police Service 6. It's the same gun, too. It's just that it does not have adjustable sights on it, okay? Everything else is the same. All right, just the grips are like these, except they're worn, right? So this one's actually police trade-in. Came from Australia. Well, it came from Ruger, went to Australia, and then back, right? And we'll talk more about that one later. So you can get them in that configuration. The Police 6, the Police Service 6 has fixed sights. It's basically no rear sight, right? Just that funnel gutter. And the Speed 6 is the third one. You got the Security 6, you've got the Police Service 6, and you've got the Speed 6, which is pretty much like the Service 6, except it has a little bit of a rounded butt on it. And then it doesn't come in a 6-inch barrel. I think just the 4-inch and maybe the 2 3/4, the shorter barrels. Okay, it's designed more for concealed carry, detective work, that sort of thing. So the Speed 6, and they're kind of rare. That's what I was really looking for when I bought this one. But yeah, they're hard to find and they're expensive. So Speed 6, Service 6, and Security 6 are the three guns. Don't want to confuse you, but they are really cool guns. Boy, I always hate to shoot this one and get it. Let's do it anyway, okay? He lent it to us, so let's get it dirty. Go ahead. He even provided a speed loader. All right, so appreciate it. Yeah, that works pretty well. I think I read that Model 10 Smith & Wesson speed loader works. This one's M3. I'm not familiar with that. Okay, I meant to get out a Model 10 model speed loader and try it. Okay, this is a pretty gun. Nice grips. They're kind of course, why do I like these grips? They feel like a Smith & Wesson grip. Let's shoot a 2-liter. Let's shoot a gong. How's that? Let's try it. You know, I haven't shot this thing yet. That was the first shot of this one. Okay, sights are on. Yeah, let's try that buffalo. There we go. I think I'm empty. No, I'm not. I heard the gong ring. So, well, yeah, I think, I forget how long he said he's had this, for a long time. It was made, his was made the same year this one I picked up was made. I looked them up, 1979. And so I think he said he'd had that a good while. And someone's had a firearm a good while, you know, generally gets the sights, you know, pretty much on, which he did, because that's the first time I'd fired it. I think he competes in IDPA and some things like that, so he knows how to shoot, and that's a nice revolver. So stainless, you know, blue, same thing. Like I said, Colt or Ruger, Bill Ruger was interested in getting into those markets because, you know, the single actions were really successful. Of course, the Blackhawks, kind of a less expensive, you know, alternative to Colts, and Colt wasn't even making them. You know, when he came out with those, they were during that period of the early 50s when Colt was on hiatus with those. They quit making them during World War II, and then they didn't start up again until about 1956 or so. And Ruger basically was responsible for help encouraging getting Colt back in the game, you know, and because the Westerns were on TV and everybody was interested in those single actions, and Colt came back into the game and everything. But as I say, Ruger did not have a double action revolver. And I know, again, it's difficult to travel back into time, you know, you know, you have to have a time machine. You're thinking like today, let's see, what would be a company? SIG. Wow, what's wrong with SIG? They don't have a double action revolver, do they? That would be a joke to even talk about, wouldn't it? I don't guess they do. Is it really a joke? Maybe the joke's on me. I'm not thinking. But, you know, nobody would think that's a big gap in their catalog, would they? But back then, it was a huge gap. Revolvers ruled. All right, they ruled the day. So unless you were around, and many of you were, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Think about it. Think about if you're 28 years old or you're 36 or 7. Think about the last 16 years, or maybe you're 40, the last 20 years you've been shooting, collecting guns, and been interested in guns, reading about them, watching stupid videos like ours. You've really been into firearms. What if that entire time it was all revolvers, that 20 years? Well, that's kind of what I went through in my 20s and my 30s. Most of that time, in the 70s and the 80s, it was revolver world, you know, for the most part. So anyway, just trying to get that across. I know, going too hard. So I won't keep you long. I just wanted to bring you this. These are collectible because they haven't made them. They made them from about 72, actually in production and out there for sale, I think, until about 1988. So they've not been made for a while. And over the time, you know what happens, they just become more collectible. Probably 10, 15 years ago, you could have bought one of these for a couple $100, you know, in a gun shop. Now they're like $500, $600, $700, $800. They're, depending on condition, they just get pretty pricey because they are collectible. Okay, and I'm gonna shoot one more time, but I want to kind of quickly, if I can, if we have to, we'll cut. But I wanted to show you the big change here that. You know, I can shoot anytime and shoot up a bunch of stuff, you know, but I think you might rather see this, how it comes apart if you've never seen it before. And last week, this is the first time I'd ever taken one of these apart in my life, a Ruger. Can you believe that? They're designed to be taken apart with a dime. That's why I have this dime out here. Now this one, I think it would work, yeah. But now this one I'm gonna take, well, this one might, yeah. Depends on the screw. They're designed to, I'm gonna use a screwdriver. Because if I'm going to break a firearm down, yeah, unless I'm in battle somewhere, I'm probably not going to worry about doing it with a dime. But you take the grips off, and then theoretically you don't need anything else. Just your dime to get the grips off, and then you'll see what I'm talking about here. And they were designed simplistic. They're designed to be simple, and you use this little pin. Handy little pin is in the strip, and I cut out a piece of wire that works too, like that. So anything like that, a little nail will work, because you're bound to lose that eventually, right? And what you do is you cock the hammer, and of course, you know, we know it's not loaded. I checked that already, but you put this pin after you cock it in this little hole in the mainspring. And one of the differences is with these, you have coil springs in them instead of flat springs. Then you let the hammer down. And that keeps that in the bind, and you can just pull out the mainspring and that stud, see if there ain't trouble. Now what you're supposed to be able to do is, well, first we get the hammer out, right? Or the hammer pin. And to do that, you pull that back, you take the pressure off of it. Now this one's a little tight, and I've discovered I have to really push on it hard and actually beat on it if I'm not careful. There we go, came right out. So that pin, it just came right out. That's kind of the hammer pin. And then guess what? The hammer comes right out, okay? And then the whole trigger assembly comes loose, and I'll go ahead, and then you're supposed to be able to use this to push on this little, there's a little button in there. I'll show you when I get it apart. You know, not that important to see it, but it's right in there. For me, it's easier to use a screwdriver just to get in there easier and push on that button, and that releases it. Yeah, and you need to be pulling down. There we go. See, that just comes out, and then there it is right there. That's what I was pushing on. That's what holds it in, okay? You got your transfer bar in your hand there, Paul. And then you open up the cylinder, you pull that forward, the bolt drops out, and there you go. And you could take this little screw out right here if you wanted to take the mag release out. We don't do that, or the cylinder release. It's all one-piece frame, and that gives you more strength. You know, in a Smith & Wesson, you've got a side plate there, and just naturally that's going to make it a little weaker, not quite the strength. And there it is. That's your gun. They made that entire frame and everything in one piece. You know, it's the grip, the whole 9 yards, except for the barrel. It screws in. Pretty cool, huh? So that was pretty innovative. That and the transfer bar safety. And you know, I apologize for not appreciating all this genius engineering that you know, Ruger came up with. So I'm going to put the bolt back in if they don't shoot me with that cannon, and then I put the cylinder in, and all revolvers are, you know, they end up a little similar. Oops, but this is quite different. If you take a Colt apart and a Smith & Wesson, you're not going to have this much difference, right, between those two. You see that pressure against the bolt there when you push that in, and then I'll close the cylinder so that helps hold that in. All right, and the next step is get this back in. This only kind of can be a little tricky, I've noticed. So let me get that in there. I'm gonna get the transfer bar and the hand, not in a bind. I know I've had a little trouble with that in the past, just like right there. And if we have to, there we go, we'll cut. But I'm not 100% sure where it needs to be. I've tried it different ways and it seemed to pop, there we go, pop into place and randomly. All right, now the hammer. We'll get the hammer back in, pull the trigger and set the hammer in, back in the firearm, line up for the hammer pin. And I think that's, again, it's better to pull the trigger more or less, get the pressure off of it. Except it goes in from the other side. Genius here. Get it. Again, I had not taken one of these apart in my life. Can you believe that? And I'm supposed to be somebody who's messed with firearms a lot. So there we go. We got the hammer and everything back in now, but we don't have a spring. There's no pressure on it, so we just set that back in there. And then you cock the hammer, get that pressure off of it again, and the pin falls out, and you make sure you don't lose it. There we go. So you put the grips back on, and find that little, where was it in that one? Yeah. So put that little pin so we don't lose it in the grip. It doesn't do anything in the grip. It doesn't hold the grip on or anything. It's not like that. It's just there for storage. And of course, any little thing like that would work. A little punch or anything. And we put this back. So now some of you can't really appreciate the simplicity of that. You should. It's got to be pretty simple for me to be able to do it, right? For somebody as simple-minded as I am. I have remarked in revolver videos, I know 2 or 3 different times, about how when I take the side plate off of a Smith & Wesson or a Colt, I just want to cry and just hope, cross my fingers, nothing falls out of there, because I don't know if I'd be able to put it all back together. I mean, it's an interesting sight. And so there we are, back in action. So let's shoot it, and then we'll let you go here in a minute. If you have anything else I neglected to tell you that you're dying to know about, right? So I'll shoot this baby. Now, well, let's shoot some Magnums, okay? Let's not lead you to think I'm a wimp. We'll finish up with Magnum rounds here. So I know I kind of didn't mean to race and speed up, but I wanted to take it apart for you, because this is a very common firearm, the Rugers and this design. And I'll be honest with you, I have not taken my Red Hawk apart, and I've had it, what, 15, 20 years. I'm really bad. I don't shoot a lot, but I have not done what you just saw me do with this one. I just thought I was going to learn how to do it. I watched some YouTube videos, some people doing it, and I thought, well, I can do that. I can do that. I'm going to smoke another pot right there. Wow, that smoked it. That cowboy hard. And that tombstone. That stops. How about a bowling pin? 2 liter? Yeah. Oh man, that is pretty neat. Okay, anything else I forgot to tell you about? Again, you got the Security 6 here, you've got the Security 6 here in stainless, and you've got the Police Service 6 here with just plain Janes, no sights really, which I like. And we'll shoot that one more and talk more about it. The reason I brought these out very quickly, Model 19 Smith and the Model L-frame Smith, okay, 686, is what happened then later in the early 80s was, even though these are well made, they're very strong, still they're kind of a K-frame size frame, right? And so if you shot a lot of Magnums in them, they could loosen up on you, and they weren't designed for a steady diet of Magnums. 357 Magnums are really hot, okay? So they came out with the GP100, which locks up right there in the front of the cylinder. It's a beefier gun, and is designed more for the Magnum. If you're gonna shoot a lot of Magnums, the GP100 is a better gun for you, okay? Even though these are pretty strong. See, Smith went through the same thing. The K-frames, they're fine, but if you're gonna have a steady diet of Magnums, you might want the L-frame. They went to the L-frame, a heavier duty frame, Okay, so you get kind of the same thing going on with Smith & Wesson and Ruger. And then of course you go on to Red Hawks and Super Red Hawks and all those as well. So anyway, that's kind of the quick and dirty. Didn't seem too quick, did it? Nothing's quick with me. But the Ruger Security 6, I am pleasantly surprised. I neglected it for a lot of decades, but it's been fun learning about it. It's like it's a new gun that just came out for me. Isn't that bizarre? And that's the beauty of the hobby. You know, there's so many firearms that all of us don't know about, you know, that we just discover and rediscover. And so it's just a vast array of firearms out there. And it's pretty cool to discover this new gun that just came out in 1972. So I'm glad you're here to witness that. Life is good.
Tired. It's a long walk from where I had to shoot that. Oh man. Oh hey, didn't see you guys there. Since you're here, I want to let you know about our friends over at Talon Grips and Ballistol. TalonGunGrips.com. Check out everything they have over there. You can get lots of different grips, the stick-on grip textures for your handguns and rifle grips, so go check them out. Also Ballistol, they're a firearms lubricant or anything else you might need lubricating. It's water soluble and non-toxic. Been using it on the compound and cleaning all of our guns. It's a cleaner and a lube for over 10 years. So Ballistol, Talon Grips, definitely check both of those companies out. And also, while you're on the internet, don't forget to go to hickok45.com. You can also find us on Facebook, Hickok45, Twitter, Hickok45, Instagram, The Real Hickok45, and also I have an Instagram page where I post behind the scenes stuff and different things like that. John, John _ HICKOK45 on Instagram. And the next thing you have to do is watch more videos.